Hello, it's Anna, and today I want to talk about gardening. So I know this is a little different for this channel, but I love gardening. I think it's so fun, especially growing food. And historically, kitchen gardens have been a hugely important source of nutrition for most people. And sure, you have your big farms that are growing like your wheat, your barley, field peas, that sort of thing. But historically, most people also got a significant portion of their diet from their garden. Even if it was a really tiny patch, they made the most of that space to grow food. And that's the sort of gardening I'm really interested in, and I think is really fun, because you can really grow a lot of your own vegetables in a very small space. I certainly don't claim to be an expert with this. I'm still figuring out how to maximize my space, but I thought it would be a fun project to vlog my garden this year and sort of show you guys what I'm doing in my garden and hopefully hear about what you're doing in yours. So let's go check out my 2022 garden log journal and sort of a brief overview of my 2022 gardening plan, as well as sort of how I developed that plan, some resources I used, and that sort of thing. So, see you over there. Okay, so here is my 2022 garden log notebook. It's just a college-ruled composition notebook. Pretty simple, nothing too fancy. One thing I do want to point out is I start with a table of contents. This is something I do in all of my notebooks and all of my note-taking, and have done since I was 18 or so, since my freshman year of university. I find making myself a table of contents really helps me go back and reference the material later. So it's something I definitely recommend you do, not just if you are making a gardening log, but just kind of if you're a student and trying to keep track of all your study materials. I found at least that it was impossible to remember where exactly in my notebook a given set of notes was, so I took to making myself a nice little table of contents, and it really helped, especially toward the end of the term when I was preparing for finals. Hugely helpful. It's a lot more work. Well, it's more work initially, but not that much more work, but is hugely helpful later on. So, January, pretty bare. It basically just logs what I have started indoors for transplanting outside once it is warm enough. And then also this little thing, which is just plants growing in a windowsill in our living room that I don't really intend to include in the main garden, so they're just gonna live there. But if you go on to February, things get more interesting. So I still have what I'm planning on starting indoors, but in this direct sowing section, I do actually have some things that I can start to plant out in the beds themselves. So to help me plan where all of those are going to go, I drew a 2-scale version of my raised beds. So here's my large bed, and then I have 2 medium beds. And then I've just written sort of what I'm going to plant in this month and when they'll be out, and then that will carry over to the next month. I also have some things that either survived the winter, like my oregano and snapdragons from last year, or things I planted in the autumn, such as this garlic. And that's kind of how each of these months go, along with some sort of miscellaneous notes like, oh, I need to buy more flower seeds because I'm planning on growing more flowers this year, and that sort of thing. That's kind of how I thought about planning my garden for this year. And yeah, I think that's everything I have to say about my gardening plan. So let's move over so I can show you some actual plants. Mona is being very helpful. Yes, thank you, Mom. Alright, so here I have my windowsill where I'm starting most of my seedlings. It's a nice south-facing windowsill. I love that about my studio, that my big giant window is south-facing, so I get tons of light all year long. Really nice for all sorts of things, including starting seedlings. So here I have some bunching onions and some snapdragons. They're not very exciting yet, but hopefully they will be next month. And then here I have some orach, which is like a leafy vegetable. I think I started this too soon. But, you know, we'll plant it out and see if it grows. There's some more bunching onions. Sorry about that, my camera overheated because it's in the afternoon sun. Oh, yes, thank you, Mona. Thank you. Anyway, as I was saying, this is the endive, which is another cool season leafy green. So we'll plant that out, see how that does. And some onions, which I'm very excited about. I also started some eggplant this month, but it is also not exciting. It hasn't sprouted yet, so I'll show you that when it gets more exciting. But I will show you the only other thing on this windowsill, which is my cacti and succulent garden. My orchid also normally lives up there, but I thought it'd be cute to have in the background for my intro and outro, because it's a plant, and I'm talking about plants, and I'm a big old orc. So, yeah, that's the windowsill. Alright, so I think that's all I have for today. I hope you're as excited to see this garden growing as I am. And yeah, hopefully it'll be a really neat visual record, if only for myself, of how the gardening went this year. And I hope I can also provide some sort of interesting historical tidbits for you guys. Mona wants to help me do the outro. Please let me know below in the comments what you thought of this video, sort of what you think about this series as a whole, as an idea, and any sort of things I could include that you'd be interested in. I'd also love to hear about your own gardening. I think that would be super awesome. Have our own little community. My battery's about to die, so I'll finish this up quickly. Please subscribe if you want to see the continuation of this series, sewing material, or other sort of cottagecore-ish stuff. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.